In this video, we're going to continue along with JQuery selectors. And we're going to look at a new selector called the has selector. And I'll just copy and paste the line right over the last JQuery selector that we learned about, which of course was contains. So there you can see the code that I typed out beforehand. And here is the has selector. Now, what does the has selector do? Basically what this does is it allows you to select elements that are inside another element. So what we're saying here is that for every div element on our web page that has the B element, go ahead and hide that. So once again, we're saying, hey, every div on our web page that has the B element, select that. Select that div that has the B element. So if we look at our code here, we can see that there's a bold element right here. And so this div section will be selected and of course hidden. So let's go ahead and save this and we'll run this. And you can see this section right here, of course, has the bold text. So this should be selected and of course hidden with the hide method. If we hit that, it indeed is. So that's how the has selector works. Now, we don't necessarily have to stay at the div level. We could target every paragraph that has bold text. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put a P here. So now we're basically saying for every P element that has a bold element, go ahead and hide that. Let's go ahead and save this and we'll run it just to make sure. And if we hit our button, you can see that the paragraph is now hidden. Of course, the div stays, right? Because we're targeting the paragraph element itself that has this bold element right here, this paragraph element. So that is how the has JQuery selector works. Okay, so let's close this out. Now, let me copy and paste a new line here and we'll talk about another JQuery selector, and that is the nth child selector. And this is another JQuery child selector. And what it allows us to do is pick a child by its index. And in this case, we're specifying a 2. And by the way, this is not zero-based, just to let you know. A lot of these selectors are, but this one is not. And so it starts out with a 1. So what we're doing, of course, we have our CSS selector here. We're saying UL and then LI. And then, of course, we're saying the second LI element. So if we scroll up in our code here, you can see that this is the LI element that will be selected. This is in the second position. This one is in the first position. So let's go ahead and save this, and we'll run this. And if this works correctly, the Wildcat's bullet should be hidden. And it is. Now, we could also go ahead and pick other childs. Why don't we pick a div? After all, a div is a child of the body, right? So let's go ahead and pick a div here. So what we'll do is we'll say body, which of course is the parent element, and then we'll put div here. So we're using a descendant selector like we did in the last example. And let's go ahead and we'll hide the third div. So we'll be hiding this div right here. So let's save this up. Let's go ahead and run this in Chrome. And if we hit the button, there you can see the third div is now gone. So really you can use whatever CSS selector you want here. The only prerequisite is that that element has children. If it doesn't, then it's obviously not going to work. So let's go ahead and close this out. Now, JQuery also provides a selector that will allow you to target empty elements. And what do we mean by empty elements? Well, they have no content. Nothing is in it. So let's go ahead and I'll copy and paste a new line here. And what we're saying here is for every LI element that is empty, go ahead and select that. And of course, we'll hide it as usual. And so again, this empty JQuery selector allows you to select elements that have no content in them. But do we have an LI element that has no content in it? And we do not. So let's go ahead and just get rid of this Wildcats here. And we'll save this. And now this has no content. So this will be selected. So let's go ahead and run this in Chrome. And you can see our bullet here is now empty. So if we hit this button, that empty element should be selected with our JQuery selector right here. So we hit this, and it is. It was hidden. So with these last 3 videos, we've covered the main JQuery selectors. There are many more JQuery selectors, and I will be introducing them throughout the series. But this is a good start, so I will see you guys in the next video.